I believed the lie that the pornography and the fantasy life was my new safe place. In His mercy, God allowed all of the pain that I was harboring for the last 30 plus years to come to the surface. And He was able to meet me in that pain that I had buried. And He led me to invite other women to connect with me in that pain. My same-sex attraction began to diminish as I let Jesus love me in that point. And as I was going through the process, the Lord really spoke to me that I would not have the liberty to be silent, and that He wanted me to be a voice to speak out against this lie. I'm not defined, you're not defined by what we did, by what's been done to us, but by what has been done for us on Calvary, and by what the Word says.
And you just hear something enough times, you start to believe it. We can be lured into believing something that we know is not true. It's like the most basic common psychological principle. I put up this front of perfection because I was so desperate that I would get found out the secrets that were hiding underneath the secret thoughts and feelings and actions eventually. And when by the time I was 15, I was living a double life. I had convinced myself, I had rationalized so much that it wasn't that big of a deal. And I would get caught on occasion, and we were all so new to the internet, my parents didn't exactly know how to find what I'd been looking at, and we didn't know much about filters, but I was devastated every single time, because I knew that this wasn't really who I was, this wasn't who I wanted to be, and this wasn't what I was supposed to be doing. And be good, I'd be good, I'm good from now on, I'll be good from now on. For months at a time, and then I would find myself with these little cords lured back in. Then I discovered chat rooms, and there were people on there who were much older and much more experienced than I was, who were looking for people, who were looking for partners, for no commitment, one-time activities. And when I went to therapy, I understood that this is not an identity, this is not innate, this is a mindset and a pattern of behavior. And it is something, just like any pattern of behavior, that can be changed. Once I realized that this is not who God designed me to be, and that He had a plan for me and it did not include this, I knew that I had to take control, and I had to disregard the stereotypes and the lies that I had been taught and lured into believing. I have a wife who I adore, and 2 children that I never thought I would have, a family I was told I would never have. And that I shouldn't want, that I should want what I was. My message is, change is possible. It has been done, so it can be done. And it's not a message of hate, it's a message of hope. And I truly believe that this is a message of understanding and applying the atonement of Christ. And
surrounded by men having sex with men, it just made me feel very, very devastated inside. And the subcultures were sexual variety of appetites for the eyes and the flesh, with momentary flings and lovers with no guarantee of long-term permanence, leaving a rash of suicides and death in its path. At 17 and a half, I recommitted my life back to Christ. I had a hard time trusting God, but I knew somehow that I was going to have to follow that moral compass scripture because I was not going to have a future otherwise. And I stand here today, and if there's anyone who's struggling with their sexuality, please understand that's not your identity. Your identity is in God. Please choose the path that will save your life, your future, because you're valuable. Your talents, your gifts, the person you are, you're created by God for something greater. You have a greater purpose.
It is not benign to have a mother or a grandmother or someone repeatedly cross-dressing and affirming some young child in a gender they're not born in. Done. And when I told my mother what my uncle had done, she said, "You're a liar. you've always lied about everything. And so you can see you have this grandmother infusing these ideas that you're not who you are. You have an uncle who's sexually abusing you and a mother who doesn't believe what you say. You become very withdrawn and you go inside of yourself and cope with these feelings, which, by the way, didn't go away. They continued to get stronger. In fact, when I asked the pastor, I said, "Are you going to try to change me?" He says, "No." He said, "I'm not going to try to change you." He says, my job is to love you. It's God's job to change you. And during the prayer, he was praying. I don't even know what he was saying, but I could see the Lord come to me. I could see him, and he had his arms outstretched. And I could see myself as a baby. And he picked me up, and he held me. And he said, "You are safe with me forever." And the prayer was over. And it was at that moment I was redeemed and restored. And there was no looking back. And to this day, the restoration continues. And anybody who struggles with these issues, we know today, are struggling with issues that happened in early childhood, and through good therapy, good counseling, prayer, and good people, all of them, if they have a desire and a willingness, can be redeemed and restored just as I have been.
We're in a battle. And we're in a battle between forces, good and evil, and light and dark. So I was really searching. And I knew it was God, but I continued to run from him. And after a while, I was so empty. I wanted God. As I said, sin will take you further than you want to go and keep you longer than you want to stay. We have tragically watched our nation cave to homosexual propaganda. More and more people are falling for the lie that homosexuals are born that way. Let's take a stand tonight together. Because if God can be for us, who can be against us?